Hello, my Bell 5000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with a new MrBallen video. That's right. This one is titled "The Longest Way to Die." Now, that's the title of it at the moment, but I have recorded a few of these, and the titles have changed. So if that's not the title of it by the time this comes out, I tried. Yeah. All right. I'm ready to get into today's story. I don't know about you guys, but go ahead, turn the lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Longest way to die. I just get traumatized. That sounds fucking traumatized. That's all. I don't want to hear it. Oh God.
There are many extreme religious practices and rituals out there, but there may be none more extreme than the Buddhist monk practice of Shokusenbutsu. This brutal ritual was created in 835 AD, and since then, over 1,000 years, countless monks have tried to do it. However, only 24 have ever actually been successful. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 phases of this ritual, and at the end, I'm going to show you pictures of what a successful Shokusenbutsu looks like. However, be warned, the images are very disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. But before we get into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button is counting something really important, start shouting out random numbers to mess them up. Also, please subscribe to
You wouldn't even have to do that with me. Just give me time. I'd do it myself. I have a hard time with numbers. I don't know why.
our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story. Buddhists believe that human life is a constant cycle of birth, suffering, and then death, and then you're
They're not wrong. I don't know. I don't think I've suffered. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess that would depend on what you imagine suffering to be. Do I go to sleep every night to like kittens licking me clean and people massaging my feet and peeling grapes for me? No. Do I go to sleep in a comfy bed, nice and toasty? Yes. So I don't know.
born, you suffer again, you die again, over and over and over again,
That sounds awful.
forever, unless you're able to achieve enlightenment, or nirvana as it's called. However, no one really knows what nirvana actually is,
King Spirit, do die. We already know.
what it looks like, what it feels like, where it is. Buddhists will
Grunge rock.
say that the only way to actually understand nirvana is to experience it yourself.
They're not wrong. I mean, they're not wrong. I like Nirvana.
It's kind of like trying to describe to someone what chocolate tastes like. You can use any number of
Overly sweet, bitter, nasty. I don't like chocolate.
superlatives to describe the flavor, but until that person bites a piece of chocolate, they won't really fully
They won't really understand just how disgusting it is until they've tasted it themselves.
understand it. And so, the goal of all Buddhists is to
Give everyone chocolate.
try to attain nirvana. And every day, hundreds
Well, for some people, chocolate might be Nirvana. I mean,
of millions of Buddhists all around the world try very hard to do just that. But within Buddhism, there is a small subset of practitioners who have effectively dedicated their entire existence to attaining nirvana. And these people are the famous Buddhist monks. It is extremely difficult to become a Buddhist monk because the sacrifice is enormous. You have to leave your family, your friends, society, all your possessions, your name, your status, everything, and go live in a monastery, which is a kind of isolated place where monks live, and there you will spend your life living this very simple, very strict religious life where basically all you do is try to attain nirvana. as a result of this extreme lifestyle.
Church prison, right? That's how are you going to reach nirvana being miserable like that though? I mean, I'm sure for some people that might be a happy life, but I don't think I would like being stuck in a little compound every day.
That Buddhist monks live, they have developed a reputation for being some of the most disciplined people on the planet. But even by Buddhist monk standards, their sacred ritual of Sokushinbutsu takes discipline to a whole nother level.
Oh shit. Oh, commercial.
Last week,
Hold on, MrBallen. You hush your face for 5 seconds. Pretty man. We got prepared for the commercial. Is everyone ready? You got your snacks, your popcorn, your little treats and goodies? Good. Start.
our company decided that we needed to hire a graphic designer. And so I got tasked with finding candidates. Now, I got no idea how to do that. And so naturally, I went on Google and I looked up, where can I find good graphic designer candidates? But I accidentally wrote malnourished, angry saltwater crocodiles instead of good graphic designer.
It happens. It happens all the fucking time. Autocorrect gets me like that every day. Almost every message.
Candidates, an easy mistake to make.
It is.
But because I didn't catch it, before long, me and old Singo Lung were stuck up in northern Australia, up to our lacrimal puncta in Crocodilus porosus. Now, of course, me and Lung did our best to try to calm these beasts down and try to teach them graphic design to make the most of this work trip.
Yes.
But these salties were just not that interested in graphic design, and they lacked basic finger dexterity.
Dirty bastards. They should have been on their A game. I mean, MrBallen comes there and wants you to graphic design for him. You learn it. You know what I mean?
And so it was as we were sitting up in this tree, hiding from this bask of angry salties down below, that old Lung jumped up and threw a javelin directly into my heart and said, "Apa miertnem hesnalod ZipRecruiter," which of course in Hungarian means, "Dad, why didn't you just use ZipRecruiter?" And boy was old Lungy right. ZipRecruiter uses its powerful technology to both find and match the right candidates to your job. ZipRecruiter also has a user-friendly dashboard with a full suite of tools that will allow you to filter, review, and rate your applicants all in one place. And now, with the invite to apply feature, it lets you immediately access a list of candidates with qualifications that match your job description. See a candidate who'd be perfect for your job? ZipRecruiter makes it easy to send a personal invite to them and other top choices. See how much easier hiring is with ZipRecruiter, which is the #1 rated hiring site according to G2 satisfaction ratings as of January 1st, 2022. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/MrBallen. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/MrBallen. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, back to the story.
Back to the story. Fucking seagull on. How many languages does he know now? Damn.
Sokushinbutsu was created over 1,000 years ago up in the rugged mountains of northern Japan by a sect of Buddhists called the Shingon. And the Shingon believed that you could attain nirvana through physical punishment. And out of that idea was born the incredibly brutal Sokushinbutsu ritual. In short, Buddhist monks can choose to participate in this ritual, and if they successfully complete it, they might attain nirvana. But they won't know until the ritual is over. Meaning, it's kind of like a big gamble. Put yourself...
Might? No. If it's not at least 70-20% odds, then it's not happening.
Through absolute hell, and maybe you have this huge payoff, but
80-20. I don't know why it says 70-20. 80-20. Numbers. My nemesis.
maybe not. However, trying to attain nirvana through other means was really difficult. There was no other really clear pathways to nirvana, and so having this one distinct pathway, no matter how difficult it was really appealing. And so since
I get okay now. I do understand more. Like when all else fails, what's left? It's like that saying, you try you exhaust all your options the most, and all that's left is the most outlandish thing that you could think of. That it has to be the answer. So to an extent, I get it. To an extent,
Its creation, hundreds and hundreds of Buddhist monks have tried it, and maybe less than 100 have actually successfully completed it, and then of that 100 or less, only 24 have actually attained nirvana through this process.
okay, okay. I might be dumb. I might be big dumb here. How do they know they hit nirvana? I'm not being a smart ass. I'm not being overly stupid. I might be overly stupid. I don't know. How do they know like 20 some odd of people have hit nirvana? Like, is there like an O face you get whenever you hit? It's like, oh, I'm I really want to know. Like, how do they know for sure that 24 or 25 of them have hit that enlightened nirvana moment?
The instructions for Sokushin Butsu are actually quite simple. There are 3 phases. Phase 1 is called Moku Jikagayo, which roughly means tree eating training, and it's primarily focused on the monk's diet. It takes 1,000 days to complete this phase. However, most monks go much longer than 1,000 days. During this phase, monks will only eat byproducts of trees, things like seeds, nuts, tree bark, tree roots, pine needles, and they will collect all this food on their own. It should be noted, though, that some monks in this first phase will ingest small rocks. This is likely done because they are starving and they can't find food, and by eating the rocks take up space in their stomach and kind of curb their appetite a little bit. But because they don't actually digest the rocks, they're not technically breaking the phase 1 diet restrictions, and so they can continue on with this ritual.
Look that. Can you eat apples and stuff like that off of them? I mean, does it have to be specifically like trees? Can it be like a blueberry bush? Apple tree? I don't want to eat bark. I don't. I would never want to do this. I might not eat meat, but I sure the fuck ain't eating a tree.
Additionally, during this first phase, the monks adhere to a very involved and strenuous physical exercise routine, and then whenever they're not foraging for food or exercising, they are meditating. At the end of the 1,000th day of phase 1, if the monk has survived, because sometimes phase
After your first 1,000 days, which is, it's only 360. Well, nearly almost 4 years, nearly almost 3 years. You know, if you live eating roots and stones, then you get the pleasures of phase 2. By golly.
1 monks do die mostly from starvation, it is up to them if they are ready to move on to phase 2. This decision ultimately comes down to whether or not 1, the monk actually adhered to the strict rules of phase 1, something really only that monk would know, and then 2, whether or not the monk actually believes they are spiritually ready to move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is much shorter than phase 1,
Oh,
but it is significantly more challenging. And so the monks
more challenging than eating rocks and roots. Like every time you go to the bathroom, you're going to shit out a birdhouse. That's not fun for anyone, bud.
going into phase 2, they really need to kind of bring their A game and have no second thoughts. They need to be fully committed to phase 2 in order to successfully complete it. For reference, most of the 24 monks who successfully attained nirvana through this ritual repeated phase 1, 2, or even 3 times just to make sure they really were ready. Phase 2 is called Nyojo, and it roughly
Yo, you need to hold on, sir. It's not bad enough those poor fuckers went through it once, but those poor fuckers went through it more than once if they wanted to. They're masochists. That's the only that's the only explanation for any of this is they are masochists, cause that sounds awful.
Translates to deep meditation. But a better way to think about what this phase entails is these monks need to enter into a sort of trance-like state, almost like an out-of-body experience, because what they're going to go through in this phase is so physically uncomfortable that unless you're able to kind of detach mentally, there's just no way to go through with it. And so during the second phase, the monks will sit down and meditate basically constantly for 100 straight days. And during that time, they don't eat any more tree byproducts or rocks. Instead, they have a liquid diet. They drink a little bit of salt water, and they drink a lot of a very particular kind of tea. The tea is made from Toxicodendron verniculum tree bark, which contains the same toxin in poison ivy.
Oh my god. Here, eat you some trees and some rocks. Okay, okay, I got you. I'm gonna do that for a couple of years though. Okay, okay, I got you. I got you. Alright. You did that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it again. Just to make sure, I just wanna make sure. Okay, so another couple of years eating rocks and bark and shit. Are you ready now? I could be, but you know something? I'm one of those sons of bitches that just go big or go home, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do this one more time. Okay, okay. We understand. Some people do that. Some, trifecta. Got you, got you, got you. Does it again. Okay. Shitting out concrete and birdhouses. I'm living the dream. You ready to go into phase two? Yeah, yeah. Good. You no longer have to eat trees and rocks. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, yes. Here's you some salt water. Okay. No, oh no, that you drink that. Okay. Now here, drink some poison ivy tea. That way, not only like will your tongue and throat and lips and stomach and intestines itch, but so will your butthole and your pee hole and everything. Fuck you, bud. Nirvana's not that damn important. No. I'm sorry. I could not do that at all. I would never find peace.
Meaning, for phase two, you basically just sit alone by yourself for 100 days while simultaneously drinking a poisonous tea that causes a massive allergic reaction inside of your throat and stomach that causes an intense itching sensation inside of you that you cannot physically itch. Also, this poisonous tea gives you explosive diarrhea and it makes you vomit a lot. If you somehow manage to survive all 100 days of phase two, and unfortunately many monks don't, you automatically move on to phase three.
I don't think I would survive the first stage. I would not have even attempted the second stage, and if I was brave enough to attempt stage two, I would die. I guarantee it.
Unlike phase one, phase two never gets
Fucking swallowing like scrub brushes and shit just to try to itch my intestines. No. Fuck you.
repeated, most likely because it almost certainly would be fatal to do so. Phase 3 is either the easiest or the hardest part of the Sokushinbitsu ritual, depending on how you look at it. It doesn't have a name like the other two phases, perhaps because so few people make it to this part of the ritual, but regardless, Phase 3 definitely has a strict set of rules like the other two phases. The Phase 3 monk has a small pine box that has no windows built just for them. It needs to be big enough that they can sit inside of it in the lotus pose, which is how they typically sit when they're meditating. And then once it's all built, the monk climbs into this box. They put a lid over the top of it, but they put a bamboo shoot, like a bamboo pole, through the cover of this box, so there is a breathing tube for this monk inside of this box.
Okay.
And then they lower the monk inside of the small pine box 10 feet into this hole in the ground, and then once they ensure the bamboo pole is going to be above ground so they can breathe, they fill the hole in with charcoal. Before we cover what happens next in phase 3, you need some context about what
Is the charcoal lit? Is the charcoal hot? Are we dying? Is that?
this ritual is actually doing to the monks performing it. Phase 1, tree eating training, serves two purposes. The first is it's kind of like a big gut check. It really shows who wants to do this ritual and who doesn't.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you can't complete phase 1, you certainly can't complete phase 2 or phase 3. Okay. So it's like a filter. It weeds out the weak.
I get. I understand. I get.
Monks. The second purpose of phase 1 is to literally shrink the monk. The tree-eating diet, combined with the constant physical exercise, removes all of their body fat and a lot of their muscle, and so they're incredibly lean by the end of phase 1. And this will be significant when we talk about the end of phase 3. Phase 2, deep meditation phase, serves two purposes as well. The first purpose is that it puts the monk into that trance-like state, and then the second purpose it serves is the toxin inside of this poisonous tea kills off all of the naturally occurring bacteria and parasites inside of the monk. Again, that will become significant when we get to the end of phase 3. Speaking of which, so in phase 3, the monk is put in their box, they're lowered 10 feet into the ground, the breathing bamboo shoot is installed, the charcoal is dumped on top of them, and then for several days, the third phase monk will sit in total darkness and meditate constantly, and each day, they have a bell down there with them, they ring the bell. That's the only thing they have to do besides meditate. And above ground, there is a team of monks that are supporting this ritual, and they're listening for that bell. And the first day they don't hear the bell, it means the monk in the box has completed the ritual, and now it is time to see if they have attained nirvana. In Buddhism, someone whose body does not decay, aka a mummy, is someone who has cheated death. And to cheat death is to remove yourself from the vicious human life cycle of birth, suffering, death, repeat. Meaning, becoming a mummy is a way to attain nirvana. And Sokushin Butsu is a self-mummification ritual. Phase 1 shrinks the monk's body, it removes their fat and muscle, it also removes a lot of moisture inside of their body, and their diet also withholds nutrients to all of the bacteria and parasites that naturally occur inside of their bodies. And so those bacteria and parasites that normally would play a big role in helping decompose your body after death begin to die off. And so the cumulative effect of phase 1 on these monks is that if they were to die at the end of phase 1, their decomposition would be drastically slowed. It wouldn't be mummy status, but it would be close. The phase 2 poisonous tea, that toxin that they're drinking, that kills off the remainder of the bacteria and parasites that did not die during phase 1. Also, all the vomiting and diarrhea completely dehydrates them, which aids in slowing down decomposition after death. Finally, phase 3 is the death phase. The monk goes into their tomb, they're buried underground, and they ring that bell each day to tell the people on the ground that they are still alive. And then when the bell stops ringing, it means the monk in the box is dead. At which point the crew on the ground removes the bamboo breathing pole and then lets the body sit in the box underground for another 1,000 days. And then after 1,000 days, they pull the box up, they lift the lid off, and if there is little to no signs of decay on their body, it means the self-mummification ritual worked, they're a mummy, they've attained nirvana, and now their body is holy. And so they're brought out of the box, they're dressed in robes, they're placed in the monasteries, and they are worshipped. As for the unlucky monks who get to the end of Sokushin Butsu but are found to be decomposing inside of their box when they're brought back up again, they're just placed back inside of their pine box and buried, and they are not worshipped. Sokushin Butsu was made illegal in Japan in the late 19th century, but we know monks continued to practice it into the 20th century, and in theory, today, monks still might practice it in secret. So that's going to do it. If you got something out of today's episode and you
Fuck yeah, dude, that was more fucked up than I thought it was gonna be. What the fuck's wrong with you? Why you can't do that to me? So, so that's how that's okay. Now my question from earlier, it's been fucking answered. Like, okay, my question was, how do they know that they've hit nirvana? Like, is there no face? No, there's a mummy face. So if you for some reason messed up anything at all and you start to decompose, no matter, even if you did it all right, correctly, 100%, say you just didn't poop enough or whatever the hell the case may be, and you have not hit that sweet, just spot, and you do start to decay, they're just going to throw your raggedy ass into a hole and bury you. But if you did everything exactly perfect, no, you get worshipped. That is some crazy shit. Like, I respect the culture, I respect the premise, I respect the idea. Oh, I did not think it was going to lead to mummification. Self mummification. That fucked me up. I really enjoyed it. MrBallen, bro. Oh, that was an amazing video. Y'all enjoyed that video as much as I did. Go down there. Mummify that freaking thumbs up. Wrap that little sumbitch up in some bandages. Or just make it drink poison ivy. And then dehydrate it. And throw it on the grill. Charcoal it up. Mummify it. As always. And if you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged things that just make you think something's going to go one way, and then somehow you do a U-turn, then a 360, and then a barrel roll, and somehow you end up in a whole other galaxy, think about subscribing, man. We have some amazing trips here. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. So you literally, is there an age requirement for this? Like, do you have to be a certain age, or you can? I don't know monk things. I'm not a monk. I might be bald, but I'm not a monk. I cuss way too much. I could never be one. Uh, is there an age limit? Like, do you have to be a certain age or under a certain age to become a monk? If that's the case, cool. It is what it is. Okay, in order to do their challenge to hit nirvana, their self mummification ritual, do you have to be a certain age? Is there no age bracket, like, oh, you have to be over the age of 13 or whatever the case may be? So basically, you put yourself through 10 kinds of hell just to put yourself in a box and dehydrate yourself into fucking jerky and die. And if you did it all correctly, you get worshipped and treated like, mwah. If you did it wrong, you get thrown into a hole. Where in their culture it's believed you're born again, I get that. As a person on the outside, that's weird. I love it though. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I get the premise: you're born, you suffer, and then you die, and then you're born and you suffer another life, and then you die. I get that you have to see tragedy and turmoil and death and destruction. That's, I get what they're saying, and So what they believe is that, you're constantly reborn, and that's like your purgatory, that's like your hell, and the only way to get out of that and hit enlightenment and be, you know, spiritual is to die and not be reborn. That's I love other cultures so much. They're so ah interesting. I love it. All right. Like I said, if y'all enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. If you're a fan of some craziness, think about subscribing. And if you guys are just like bored or nothing else better to do, go back and watch some of the older ones. I'm here. So, as always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.